My father bought my sister a house, but she quickly sold it to fund her lavish lifestyle. Then they showed up at my house demanding ownership. When I refused, they tried to break in, so I called the police. I, 32 male, bought my first home last year. It was not a mansion or anything, but it was mine. A cozy little 3-bedroom house in a quiet neighborhood. I worked hard for years, saving every penny, while watching my older sister Emily, 35 female, get handed everything on a silver platter. Our parents always favored her, but I never thought it would come to this. A few weeks ago, my dad called and asked if he could drop by. I did not think much of it until he showed up with Emily, and they both looking unusually smug. We sat down in my living room, and after some small talk, my dad dropped the bombshell. "Dad, so your sister's been going through a really tough time lately, and we have been thinking you should give her your house." I actually laughed like out loud. Do me what Emily just sat there with her arms crossed, looking bored like this was all already a done deal. "Dad, she needs it more than you do. You do not have a family. You do not have kids. This house is too much for just one person. She is struggling right now, and it would be the right thing to do." Now, to clarify, Emily is not struggling. She is just irresponsible. Our parents gave her a house 5 years ago, a beautiful 3-bedroom place in a much nicer neighborhood than mine. But what did she do? She sold it within a year, blew through the money on business ventures, aka pyramid schemes and impulsive spending, and has been living off our parents ever since. And now they wanted me to clean up her mess again. Do me no, absolutely not. Dad's face turned red. Emily scoffed. "Emily, ugh, I knew you would be selfish about this. Me selfish, I bought this house with my own money. I did not get a free house handed to me and throw it away. Dad, watch your tone. She is your sister. You have a responsibility to help her." I could not believe what I was hearing. It was their responsibility to enable her, and now that they were running out of ways to bail her out, they expected me to sacrifice everything I worked for. Then Dad pulled out his trump card. "Dad, if you do not do this, do not expect to see a cent for me when I am gone. I will cut you out of my will." Oh no. Anyway, this point I was done playing nice. I stood up, walked to my office, and pulled out a neatly organized folder from my filing cabinet. When I came back, I dropped the paperwork on the table in front of them. "Not me. Go ahead, cut me out, because guess what? Emily has already taken her inheritance." Dad blinked. Emily went pale. "Me, that house you gave her, the one she sold for cash that was worth more than anything left in your estate, she has already gotten her share. I, on the other hand, have gotten nothing from you my entire life, so go ahead, write me out, but do not come knocking when you need help, because I will not be there." Silence. Dead silence. Emily's jaw clenched. Dad's face went from red to ghost white, and then Dad snapped, "How dare you throw that in our faces after everything we have done for you?" I let out a bitter laugh. Everything they have done for me. That was rich, really. Everything you have done, because from where I am standing, the only thing you have ever done is bend over backward for Emily while expecting me to just deal with it. Emily, finally shaking off the shock, slammed her hands on the table and practically screeched. "That house was a gift. You cannot put a price on family support." Then I told her, "Sure, but apparently you can put a price on mine, and it is exactly one house." Dad pointed a finger at me, voice low, but furious. "You ungrateful brat. You would rather see your own sister homeless than help her out. Now, let us get one thing straight. Emily was not homeless. She had been living in our parents' guest house for free since she blew through the money from selling her house. She had no rent, no bills, and no responsibilities. Meanwhile, I had worked my behind off for everything I had, and now they wanted to rip it away from me because Emily did not feel like being an adult." I shook my head. "You know what? This conversation is over. I am not giving her my house. And if you are going to cut me out of your will over this, go ahead, because I do not need anything from you." I still stood up, walked to the front door, and opened it. "Get out of my house." Dad's eyes widened like he could not believe I was actually kicking them out. "You cannot be serious. Dead serious. This is my house, and I am done with both of you." Emily got up in a huff, grabbing her designer handbag probably bought with Dad's money, and stormed out first. Dad hesitated for a moment as if expecting me to back down. But when he saw that I was not budging, he finally muttered something about me being a disappointment, and followed Emily out the door. I shut it behind them and locked it. I wish I could say that was the end of it, that they saw reason and left me alone, but no. The real war was just beginning, because a few days later I found out that Dad was not just cutting me out of the will, he was trying to take my house. A few days passed, and I thought that was the end of it, that I had finally shut the door, literally and figuratively, on my father and Emily's entitlement. I was wronged. It started with a phone call from my realtor. "Hey, I just got a weird inquiry about your house. Someone claiming to be your father asked if the property title was in your name or still under family ownership. I nearly dropped my phone. Family ownership. What the heck was he talking about? I reassured my realtor that the house was 100% mine and hung up, but something felt off. Why would my dad, who had no financial stake in my home, be sniffing around like this? Then that very night, I got a notification from my security cameras. Motion detected front door. My stomach dropped. I pulled up the footage on my phone and there they were. Emily and my dad standing on my front porch with a locksmith. I immediately turned on the microphone function and spoke through the camera. "Can I help you?" The locksmith literally jumped when he heard my voice, looking around in confusion. My dad, however, did not even flinch. "We are just checking something, son. Do not make this difficult." Emily was smirking, arms crossed like she had already won. "Checking what exactly?" I asked. The locksmith hesitated. They said they were the owners, that they lost their keys and needed the locks changed." Oh, heck no!" I quickly grabbed my car keys and sped home. I was furious. If I had not gotten that notification, I do not even know what I would have come back to. Would they have moved in, changed the locks, throw my stuff onto the street? When I pulled up, the locksmith was still standing there awkwardly, clearly realizing he had been lied to. I said, "You do not live here, and you sure as heck do not own this house." The locksmith looked at me, then at my dad, then back at me. Locksmith then asked me, "Sir, do you have proof of ownership?" I pulled out my phone and opened my property deed. This is my name on the title, not his, not hers. Fine. The locksmith immediately stepped back and muttered an apology. Dad, however, was not backing down. He said, "You have no right to treat me like this. I raised you. I provided for you, and this is how you repay me." I chuckled. "By stopping you from committing literal fraud?" "Yeah, I guess so." Emily groaned, clearly losing patience. "Dad, let us just call the cops. He cannot just kick us out of our own house." I laughed like full-on bent-over wheezing laughter. "Your own house? You really believe that?" She shrugged. Dad said it is still technically the family, and there it was, their real plan. I am my father. This man who spent my whole life favoring Emily, handing her everything while giving me nothing, actually thought he could just wish my house into existence as family property. At this point, I was done being polite. That I said, "All right, let us call the cops." Dad and Emily froze. That I laughed. "Oh, what is wrong? I thought you wanted to call them. You think they will agree with you, that they will just kick me out of my own home?" Dad's eyes darted toward his car, clearly debating whether he should just leave. But Emily, she doubled down. "You cannot prove this house was not meant for me. Dad said he always planned for me to have it." Oh, that was cute. I pulled out my phone, tapped a few times, and pulled up the emails from my bank. Oh, really? Because according to my mortgage records, I took out a loan, and according to my closing documents, I signed the deed, and according to this wire transfer, I made the down payment. Not you, not Dad, me. Emily's mouth snapped shut. I added, "So please call the cops. I would love for them to hear you try to explain how you are entitled to a house you have absolutely no legal connection to." Dad grabbed Emily's arm. "Let us go." Emily hesitated, but Dad yelled now. They stormed off. Emily seething, Dad muttering something under his breath. I stood there, arms crossed, watching them drive away as their car disappeared down the street. I took a deep breath, trying to calm the rage boiling inside me. Then I turned to the locksmith. He was already loading his tools into his truck, clearly eager to get the heck out of there. "Not so fast. Hey, we need to talk." He flinched, but tried to play it cool. "Look, man, I did not know. You did not know. That is your excuse." He sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. "They told me it was a family home, and that they had lost their keys. It happens all the time, people get locked out." I cut him off. "And you did not think to check? No ID, no proof of ownership. Just some random guy saying, 'Yeah, I totally own this place,' and you are ready to start drilling?" He had the nerve to look annoyed. "Look, I do not need this. I did not even start working yet." "Oh, heck no. You showed up at my house? You pulled out your tools? You were about 5 seconds away from breaking in." He held up his hands. "I get it, okay. I should have asked for ID first." I took a step closer. "Darn right you should have. If I had not caught you, would have changed my locks for 2 people who were about to illegally move into my house." He sighed loudly like he was the one being inconvenienced. "Fine, I will be more careful next time." "Are we done?" I narrowed my eyes. "Not even close. Give me your business card." That got his attention. Why? Because I want the name of the company that almost helped my dad commit fraud. His jaw tightened. Come on, man, I did not know. I was just doing my job. And your job requires verifying ownership before drilling into someone's door right silenced. I held out my hand. The card now. He let out a frustrated breath, yanked a card from his pocket and slapped it into my palm. Thanks. Oh, and by the way, if I ever catch you trying to break into my house again, I will not just be having a conversation. I will be calling the cops. He muttered something under his breath, climbed into his truck, and peeled out of my driveway. I looked down at the card. Time to make some phone calls. I walked back inside, still gripping the locksmith's business card. My heart was pounding, not from fear, but from sheer rage. Dad and Emily had actually tried to break into my house. Not just manipulate, not just guilt trip. Breaking that I needed to make a few calls first. I dialed the locksmith company. A woman answered, sounding cheerful. Thanks for calling, company name, how can I help you? Yeah, I need to file a complaint. One of your guys just showed up at my house and was about 5 seconds from drilling my lock because 2 random people told him to. No verification, no proof of ownership, nothing. He was about to help them illegally break into my home. There was silence for a moment, then in a much more serious tone she said that definitely should not have happened. Do you have the technician's name? I read off the name on the card. We take this very seriously. I will escalate this to management immediately. Good, because if I ever see one of your locksmiths doing something like this again, I will not be calling customer service. I will be calling the police and my lawyer. She stammered out an apology, but I had already hung up. Next, I needed to make a legal move. I called my lawyer. Yeah, I have one because family drama like this teaches you to be prepared. After explaining what had just happened, he did not sound the least bit surprised. Your father and sister tried to commit fraud. You need to file a police report, even if you do not want them arrested. Having a record of this will protect you in case they try something again. He was right. They were not going to stop unless I made them stop. That I grabbed my keys and drove straight to the police station. I walked into the police station still gripping the locksmith's business card like it was evidence in a murder case. My mind was racing. I did not want to get law enforcement involved in family drama, but Dad and Emily had crossed the line. Approaching the front desk, I took a deep breath. I need to file a report. My father and sister just tried to break into my house. The officer at the desk raised an eyebrow. Do you have proof? I laid it all out, the locksmith's involvement, my dad and Emily's entitlement, how they had almost gotten inside. I even showed him the security footage from my phone, which clearly captured my dad standing by while the locksmith prepped his tools. The officer nodded. Yeah, that is definitely an unlawful entry attempt. You are the legal owner of the house, right? I pulled out my paperwork. My name is the only one on the deed. He studied it for a moment, then looked back at me. We can file this as an attempted unlawful entry since they did not actually break in. It is not full-blown trespassing, but if they try this again, they are looking at serious charges. That was exactly what I needed, a paper trail. After signing the necessary forms, I walked out of the station feeling lighter, but I knew this was not over. Sure enough, my phone buzzed the second I got in my car. Dad. I let it go to voicemail. Seconds later, Emily's name popped up on the screen. I ignored her too. A minute later, a text from her came through. You called the police on Dad. What is wrong with you? I stared at my screen. Disbelief morphing into amusement. Oh, this is going to be fun, I typed back. He tried to break into my house. Actions have consequences. Her response came instantly. Oh my God, you are so dramatic. You know Dad just wanted what was best for the family though. I was done playing nice. Dad wanted what was best for you. He thought he could steal my house and you let him. Guess what? Now there is a report filed. Try this again and I will press charges. That a few dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. Finally, she sent, you will regret this. I laughed at Emily. You have no idea. I started my car and headed home. It was time to prepare for the next round because this fight was not over. I pulled into my driveway still buzzing with adrenaline from the police station. As I stepped out of my car, I felt the weight of the moment. The ball was in my court now. I had set everything in motion and there was no going back. My phone buzzed again. This time it was a message from Dad. I did not even hesitate before opening it. He texted, I do not know what you are trying to pull here, but I am not going to let you ruin your life over a misunderstanding. You will regret this. I stared at the screen feeling that familiar mix of anger and disbelief. How could he still act like I was the one in the wrong? He had no shame. I tapped out a quick response. It is not a misunderstanding, Dad. You tried to steal my house. I am not going to let you get away with it. A few minutes pee and then my phone buzzed again. Dad texted, "You have crossed a line. You are going to regret this. Do not expect anything from me ever again." That was when I realized the real threat was not even the house or the police report. It was the will. That I had not thought about it until now, but Dad had always talked about how everything was supposed to go to Emily. And if I was being honest, I had always suspected he might cut me out of it eventually, but now it felt like a certainty. I could not let him have the last word. I called my lawyer. "Hey, it is me again. Can we talk about my father's will?" The lawyer was quick to respond. "Sure, what is on your mind? Do you think there is a way to ensure that my share of the inheritance is protected? I am worried about Dad making changes behind my back, especially with all the threats he is making." There was a pause on the line. "We can look into that. You have a right to your inheritance, and if he has been making threats or pressuring you, it is possible to make sure those changes do not go through, but we will need to take action fast, especially if he has already started manipulating Emily." I hung up, feeling a surge of determination. I was not going to let them win this. I was done being the victim in their twisted family game. So I walked back into my house. I could not help but notice how much my surroundings had started to feel like my personal fortress. I had built this place for me, and no one was going to take it away. But then, as I turned to lock the door behind me, I heard the unmistakable sound of a car engine approaching. I looked out the window. Dad's car. He was here, and I knew this confrontation was about to get a whole lot messier. I stood there staring out the window at Dad's car creeping down the street. The engine cut off, and I could already picture him, the same smug look he always wore when he thought he was in control. Not this time. I took a deep breath and walked to the door, opening it just as Dad stepped onto the porch. His face was a mask of anger and resentment. He did not even knock, just barged right in like he had a right to be here. "Is this how you are going to play it?" He spat, his voice dripping with venom. "You are going to ruin your life over this." I did not flinch. "No, Dad. I am just making sure you cannot ruin mine anymore." His eyes narrowed. "What the heck are you talking about?" I stepped closer, putting a few inches of distance between us. "You have already tried to steal my house, tried to break in with Emily's help, but that is not all. I called the cops, filed a report. I have got proof. You cannot keep getting away with this crap, and you are sure as heck not going to get your hands on this house." His face turned red. "You are just being dramatic. I am your father. I am entitled to some help from my kids. You lost that entitlement the second you tried to screw me over, and do not think I have not figured out your game." I leaned in, voice low. "You are going to try and change your will, right? Cut me out and leave everything to Emily. But guess what?" He blinked, eyes wide with a mix of fear and confusion. "I have already had a lawyer look into it. You do not get to play that game anymore." I smiled, a cold, vindictive smile. "If you try to make any changes to your will now, I will contest it. I have got the paperwork, and I will make sure the court knows exactly what you tried to do." His jaw clenched. "You think you can just stop me? You are nothing without me." I shook my head. "No, Dad. I am something without you. I have built my own life, and I do not need you or your toxic control to survive." He stood there fuming, but I could see the panic in his eyes now. The realization was hitting him that I was not the gullible child he could manipulate anymore. "And if you think I will let you walk away from this without consequences, you are wrong. I am not going to call the cops again, but do not think I will not take further legal action. You have tried to steal from me emotionally, manipulate me, and now you are going to face the fallout." I paused, letting the weight of my words sink in. "I hope you enjoy what is left of your life, because it will not be a pleasant one. You have burned too many bridges to come back from this." Dad stood there for a long moment, eyes shifting between anger and panic. Finally, he muttered something under his breath and turned to leave. But before he walked out the door, he shot one last look at me. "You are going to regret this." I simply smiled back. "I already feel better." The door slammed shut behind him, and as I locked it, I finally let out a long breath. It was over. The revenge. The sweetest revenge was not in the dramatic confrontation or the threats. It was in the freedom to know I was no longer under his thumb. He tried to ruin my life, and now I was making sure he never got the chance to do it again. And that is how I finally took control, how I made sure that for the first time in my life, my father would not get away with his entitled, manipulative behavior. The house was mine, the will was safe, and for the first time in a long time, I felt like I was truly free.